All right, so sorry about that. We got cut off. So again, I like running Crosstrainers because he is pretty cool. And his weakness is not something that Nathaniel runs because Nathaniel doesn't run a lot of love, which is kind of nice. I also run Detestable because I like running the bigger Cinnies, especially if they don't have an action or ability. He does, but I do like running the bigger Cinnies just because it is a bigger stumbling block and it does slow you down a little bit more, especially early on in the game. So if I don't have any sort of action or ability on my Cinnies, they're usually bigger. He does have an action, which he has to discard his equipment cards in play. Often I don't pull him when there are any, but again, he is still bigger, so I kind of like that. Toll Crow, frankly, I run him honestly just because he really looks cool. I won't lie on that one. But his weakness is Believer, which is something that Nathaniel does run. So we haven't actually run into them at the same time yet, but again, he is just very, very big, so I like running him, and he just looks really cool. I do play a few story cards. Again, with my deck having a lot of growths, I really like running 2 Ascension because they let me skip a growth stage if I need to. And so this with Simon in hand, so, let's say I draw into my Draylite level 3, I can use Simon, go get my Draylite level 2, and then I can just play Ascension and just go ahead and play him. So again, I run 2 of those because these are really nice to run into, especially early game. I also run 2 Line in the Sand. This card I love because it is extremely rude, because both players have to shuffle their Animo from their discard pile back into their deck. So when I've seen that Nathaniel is setting up his whole stagnetic play that he likes to play, which gets him quite a few points in a single turn, if I have this in hand, which usually I will keep it in hand till a moment somewhat like that, I can play this and he no longer has the ability to do the things that he wants to do with them. So this card usually, if I play it at the right time, or if I play both of them at the right times, then usually I can win just due to the fact that he does not have the plays that he wants to play. So that is why I run 2 of those. I run 1 Snake Bit just because if I'm just not seeing the cards that I need to, especially early game, I can just forfeit my scoring round and I can just go get the cards that I absolutely need to set myself up to win. Tough as Nails I enjoy because, again, I like having the extra draw power. That is one reason I run the Servitude. So Tough as Nails is pretty great because a lot of times Nathaniel won't run into his Cinnies until more mid-game. So I can throw this one out there and I can just draw extra cards when he does throw a Cinny on me. And I really enjoy that extra draw power that it gives me. I run a Bible study for the Holy Spirit because I, again, do run a lot of spirit cards, and this way it helps me search for one, and it lets me search for any one of them. And so, again, if I'm not running into the Cinnies in the right, or I'm not the Cinnies, the Animo in the right order, I can go search for something that I really absolutely need. There are quite a few times that I have this in there and I just end up discarding it from my hand, but I do like that I have it if I need it. That is kind of the same way with the Sword of the Spirit. I run 2 of those because any Holy Spirit Animo that I'm running, I get an extra 3. And a lot of times this has actually defeated a Cinny for me and allowed me to get extra points enough. There have been actually a few times that this has helped me win the game just by that extra point, or something. And so I do like running 2 of these for that reason. I do run Hope Animo, and so this one has been pretty great for me to run because I can make any hope into anything. Or I can make anything into hope because this depends on how my power is running at the time. How much power I have, what do I have, especially kind of that earlier on in the game, if I'm only getting Holy Spirit power cards or something, and let's say I run into my Dependaroo or I run into one of my other cards, if I place this on there, I can automatically use what I need to use to actually play those cards when I need to play them. And then probably my favorite is Paul's Chains. So this card allows me to search for two, I believe it's level 1 Animo, and put them directly into my small group. So the great thing about this card is you're not allowed to actually activate that Animo. Well, I do have those little one-off Animos that I run, mainly Servitude, that I like to place this on. And then I am able to just leave him out here in my small group, and I can go directly for 2 level 1 Animo and put them in my thing. And I still get to draw however many other cards I am able to draw with Servitude. And so since he is the only love Animo that I run, I can pretty much draw anything unless I have one of my ultras out there. So I really like this combination. It helps quite a bit to get, again, that draw power that I'm needing. And so those are all the cards that I run. A few of the things that I really like to run in play is, again, that Servitude and Paul's Chains combo is a fantastic combo that my deck largely runs off of. Again, Guppies, he is pretty awesome to get me some of these cards that I need. I really like running him. And again, if I just really need the extra points and I have a free power available, that is something that I can use. I can always use him for the 2 points, which it may not be much, but sometimes 2 points is all you need. So I don't specifically run any cards just for the Bible verses to defeat Sinnies. However, I do have a few of them in my deck. One of them is I run Dependaroo because it defeats Corrupt Terra Mega. I have Draylight, which defeats Narcy, and Floraline defeats Screeny. Also, I do have a few of those True Blues in here, and they go for Detestable. So I do have a few that I can memorize to defeat Sinnies, but that's not largely what my deck runs off of, just because those aren't necessarily Sinnies that people, mainly Nathaniel, run. So it doesn't necessarily help me in that regard, but I do have a few in there. So again, this ends up being a 60 card deck. So if I were to add other cards, I would have to go through and remove some. In this particular deck, if I were to remove cards to replace them with something else, most likely I would probably end up removing hope cards, just due to the fact that basically all the hope cards that I'm running, I'm having to put my power back. But again, if I'm having to put my power back for all the hope that I'm running, it doesn't really bother me too much because I'm not necessarily going to need that later on. I would probably put away my Schwimmers if I were to absolutely need to replace them with something else. At this point, I would probably, if I were to change up my deck at all, I would probably run either more universal cards of some kind, or I would go in and probably run either a few hindrance cards or a few extras of certain equipments or story cards. But other than that, I have found my deck to be pretty well balanced. I run into everything at the timing that I need to, and especially with the help of certain cards, especially my Truth Seeker. And so that's pretty much how my deck works. So I am able to do quite a bit, and it's usually pretty neck and neck unless I'm just not drawing the cards that I need to at the right time.